Once upon a time, July 19th, 2022 to be exact, Multiversus launched with boundless enthusiasm, promising chaotic crossover brawls, featuring everyone from Batman to Shaggy, Ultra Instinct mode naturally. The open beta arrived a week later and I was there, controller in hand, ready to witness history. Or as hindsight would soon reveal, a slow-motion train wreck disguised as a fighting game. Then came the updates, the patches, the questionable monetization schemes. Players once hyped began to dwindle, and so did the game's soul. By June 25th, 2023, the open beta shut down, and Multiversus vanished for nearly a year, presumably to be reborn as something greater, something worthy of its ambitious premise. Instead, we got the full release on May 28th, 2024. The same game, only shinier, running on Unreal Engine 5, as if graphical fidelity alone could patch the gaping wounds of poor player retention and a dwindling community. And now here we are, 3 days away from its final shutdown on May 30th, a game that once had all the ingredients to be a genre-defining hit, but instead fizzled out under the weight of its own mismanagement. Today I take one last dive into Multiversus, not in celebration, but in autopsy, to see what went wrong and whether it ever had a chance to survive. This is Multiversus, a free-to-play failure. So where is a good place to start with Multiversus? I've been contemplating this video since I first heard about the shutdown, and in the spirit of procrastination, haven't started it until today, the 28th, 2 days before. November 18th, 2021, Multiversus is officially announced, a crossover fighting game featuring Warner Bros.' most iconic characters. It sounds like a fever dream, but one with potential. Batman, Bugs Bunny, Arya Stark, and even Shaggy in Ultra Instinct mode. What could go wrong? July 19th, 2022, early access begins. The hype is real, the mechanics feel fresh, the combat is fluid, and the game seems poised to carve out a space in the platform fighter genre. And then, July 26th, the open beta launches, and suddenly Multiversus is everywhere. Twitch streams, YouTube breakdowns, competitive players testing the waters. It's a moment of triumph, but as we now know, it was also the beginning of the end. I seriously liked this game a lot, and that's an odd one for me, because while I do gravitate towards fighting games, I've never been a fan of platform fighters. Smash is cool and all, but I grew up with Mortal Kombat and Sonic as my games of choice. So let's go into the next section. The competitive scene, a dream without support. Multiversus had the potential to be a competitive powerhouse. The mechanics were solid, the netcode was better than most fighting games, and the first major tournament at EVO 2022 even had a $100,000 prize pool. But here's the problem. Warner Bros. Never fully committed to supporting the competitive community. Unlike Nintendo, which actively suppresses its own competitive community, Warner Bros. Seemed indifferent. No consistent funding, no major esports infrastructure, and no real push to make Multiversus a long-term staple in the fighting game scene. The first LAN event at EVO was messy but promising. Over 200 teams signed up, and the finals were thrilling, but issues like accidental pauses disrupting matches showed a lack of polish. And instead of building on that momentum, Warner Bros. Let the scene stagnate. No major follow-ups, no consistent tournament circuits, and no real effort to keep the competitive players engaged. Without developer-backed support, the competitive scene slowly faded, leaving only die-hard fans to keep it alive. The tier list chaos, a meta in constant flux. If there's one thing Multiversus players learned quickly, it's that no character stayed on top for long. The game's balance updates were relentless, sometimes adjusting characters in ways that felt more like throwing darts at a board than carefully tuning a fighting game. One patch, Batman is a menace, dominating tournaments with his oppressive aerial game. The next, nerfed into oblivion, barely clinging to relevance. Bugs Bunny, once an S-tier nightmare, suddenly finds himself struggling against characters that were previously jokes. And let's talk about Velma, a support character who for a time was somehow one of the most broken fighters in a game, a detective turned unstoppable force capable of controlling matches in ways that made players question reality itself. Then came the nerfs, and she was sent back to the sidelines, joining the ranks of characters that never quite recovered from developer intervention. While everyone was busy spamming Shaggy's rage mode or abusing Wonder Woman's armor, I was out here putting in work with Raindog, a character built for team play, yet somehow I managed to push him into top 25 for 1v1s. It wasn't easy. Raindog was never a meta pick. His zoning tools required precision, his mobility was decent but never overwhelming, and his projectile game was strong but only when played smart. Every fight felt like an uphill battle. Against top-tier fighters like Finn or Harley Quinn, it was a test of patience, staying out of range, landing calculated shots, forcing mistakes rather than rushing down. And let's not even talk about fighting Batman, whose constant buffs turned him into a grappling hook nightmare. Yet somehow I managed to push through, climbing the ranks, slowly proving that Raindog had hidden potential, even if the devs never gave him the love he deserved. Multiversus was free to play, but let's be honest, it was pay to suffer. The grind for characters was brutal, the battle pass felt uninspired, and the monetization model drained enthusiasm faster than a leaky faucet. Warner Bros. Admits Multiversus underperformed. By late 2024, Warner Bros. Finally admitted what players had known for months. Multiversus had underperformed, resulting in a $100 million revenue loss for the company's games division. Instead of adjusting their strategy, Warner Bros. Let the game fade into obscurity. The full release, a second chance that was anything but. May 28, 2024, Multiversus returns, now running on the Unreal Engine 5, promising smoother gameplay, better visuals, and a refined experience. But instead of a triumphant comeback, what players got was a downgraded, hollowed-out version of the game they once loved. Rollback netcode improved online play, but wasn't enough to bring players back. Parrying mechanics added depth but drastically changed the meta. Key features were removed, including leaderboards, damage reports, and offline modes, and microtransactions became worse, with every character costing absurd amounts. The final nail in the coffin, when greed overpowers good design. A unique take on platform fighting, beloved characters, a solid competitive foundation, but none of that matters when the publishers are more interested in squeezing players for cash than making a great game. So now here we are. The shutdown is imminent. Multiversus will vanish and Warner Bros. Will move on, chasing the next half-baked monetization scheme disguised as innovation. And the players, the ones who actually cared, who saw the potential, who grinded through broken metas and abysmal matchmaking, we get nothing. No closure, no lessons learned, just another corpse in the graveyard of wasted opportunities. Rest in peace, Multiversus. You weren't perfect. Hell, you weren't even consistent, but you deserve better than to be sacrificed on an altar of corporate greed. There is hope on the horizon, though. Multiversus Infinite and Multiversus Beta Plus are both fan projects that look to revive the game at separate points in its life cycle, with Infinite focused on the end state of the game, and while Beta Plus, you can kind of assume what they're going for there. I will be showing a trailer. I'm very excited for both of these, and I hope the community can rally around them to keep the game alive.
Whoa, Morty, come on! Get in the game, Morty! Ah!
You're the boss.
Wubba lubba dub dub! Morty, I'm a pickle! Isn't that impressive? Yes! I'm back, baby! I turned myself into a pickle! Shut up! Damn, your Morty sucks! I'm Pickle Rick! Well, look at that. All right, here's the plan. What about this? Boom! That was cool. Boom! Come on, get that parkour. Yeesh. I'm out of here. How awesome is that? It ends now. I do science. Yes! This guy gets it. Okay, that's cool. Oh, how do you like that? Morty, we're not getting out of this one. Ah, well, look at that. Well, that's cool. It was a blowout. Dial it back a little bit here. All right, knock it off. Morty, come on. Didn't you learn last time that you can't beat me?
This pickle's only available in Multiversus Beta! Ho-ho!
I'm Superman.
Uh-huh, whatever. Morty, where's my portal gun? Let's get it. No, 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 no!
It wasn't the gameplay that was the biggest issue in either iteration, in my opinion. It was Warner Brothers' never-ending quest for more money. Alright, so if you enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe. Go check out my Can I Beat Oblivion as an Impaired Vampire video, and on that same note, the Can I Beat Oblivion as a Toy Soldier video will be coming out very, very soon, so stay tuned for that. Thank you so much if you stay till the end. Hell, if you even just skip to the end. Hi, I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.